Welcome back, everyone, to the final credits. This time we are talking Creed, specifically Creed 3. And yes, this time we're going into spoiler territory. So, we've all seen it. You may have seen our immediate thoughts, and I stand by it to this day. I thought it was a fantastic anime. Now, what I mean by that, Michael B. Jordan has openly said that he is a huge anime fan and has taken little snippets from anime in here into his storytelling, and it shows. And it shows in a very positive way. I know these guys aren't much into anime, but at the same time, the storytelling is there. So, guys, join me on this.
I mean, I definitely appreciate a good anime, but I am probably a bigger Rocky fan. And this was the first time that Michael B. Jordan held the reins as a director. In short, I think he did a really great job doing it. He definitely gave it his own spin and helped make this movie stand out amongst the rest. Like, whether it's other Creed movies or other Rocky movies, there was a lot of good and not really that much bad, but I think there was one glaring issue with this movie that I think we could all agree upon is that, this is part of the Rocky universe, but there was no Rocky. There was no mention of Rocky, barely a mention of Rocky, maybe once or twice tops. And
maybe one mention, yeah.
Blink and you miss it scenes. And, they were just, obviously, this is a situation for Adonis Creed, the character. He's, moved past, his boxing career. He owns a company now. He's retired. Obviously, there's not much need for Rocky as his trainer, but I believe there were at least a few scenes that it would have made sense to either mention him or show him.
There's only one scene he should have been in, and that was the funeral scene. Other than that,
yes. So I mean,
to a degree, I do agree with Spade in that, in the sense that in this one particular movie, Rocky didn't have anywhere to really fit in, minus the funeral scene. But yes, like the way how this movie was tailored, the way how Michael B. Jordan had it made and stuff, yes, you can have it afford that Rocky couldn't be in it. But at the same time, it is a continuation of the Rocky franchise, and it would be nice, at the very least, to get a reason in story why he wasn't there, because he just never showed up.
But I don't think it's a continuation of the Rocky series. It's more like a spin-off. You know that this character came from the Rocky universe, right?
Right.
For the time being.
Yep.
And because of that, he was in the first movie. He was in the second movie. Look, the storyline did not need Rocky in it because Adonis Creed became the next Rocky. He's now the retired guy who's trying to find the new talent. So I don't feel like he's needed in that point. That's why, after the movie, we all had a disagreement on why Rocky should have been in it. And I was like, it doesn't matter if he's in it or not.
It was about to turn into the climax of the movie. I'll put it to you that way. But I still stand by what I say. I feel like we as the fans needed a reason why he wasn't there. Not just Sylvester Stallone and Michael B. Jordan are fighting. They haven't kissed and made up yet.
Those two aren't fighting. It's the studios that are fighting.
I'm sorry. The studio and Stallone were fighting. Same difference. But we needed an in-character reason why. His cancer came back. Something happened. He's still in Canada with his son. Any one of those would have made it perfectly fine, but we got nothing. And I see
both arguments. I totally agree with you, Grim. But I see both sides of the coin on the argument. To Spade's argument, you get Adonis Creed to shine on his own. You don't have the presence of Rocky, not necessarily overshadowing him, or by his side. But at the same time, it is a spinoff of the Rocky series, and he was in the first two Creed movies. I think when he was down at his worst, after he confronted his now former friend and he was training, I think it was Warren a cameo to go to Rocky to counsel his old mentor. And
I agree.
We definitely should have had a explanation more than we were given but maybe there was something filmed and something will come out in a deleted scene.
No.
No, he wasn't involved. Yeah.
But
I want to say
but-
this. There's two things. There's two things that I'm hinging on right now that makes bothers me about the absence of Rocky is that the first two movies, yes, like this is Adonis Creed's series. This is about him, absolutely. But the first two movies really like Rocky was literally his rock. Like he was like his foundation. Like the relationship that those two had between like fighter and trainer and like almost like a familial bond that they had, like it really sold the first two movies. Like you really were like invested in like it just didn't, like I think the second movie like kind of was about this in a way, like when Rocky isn't there to help him train and like give him that extra insight into what makes a boxer, like that makes all the difference between like Adonis being one of the best and him just being a really good boxer. And I felt like that was really shown to be a really integral part of his character. And then to kind of end on where Creed 2 ended, it didn't really end Rocky's story, I felt like. So like him not being there in Creed 3 at all, just it felt like something unfinished in terms of story writing, in my opinion. So that was one thing. The second thing, it's just he needed to be there in some way. And somebody, like I read somebody's opinion that made a lot of sense. They used the right word for it, that it almost felt like a malicious, like intentional, like we can't have Rocky in this movie whatsoever. Can't mention him, can't like have, we'll give him just one or two name drops just because it's him. But it felt like they almost went out of their way to exclude him from everything about this movie, and it just didn't feel right to me, in my opinion. Like he should have been in the funeral scene. He absolutely should have been at least in the audience and at the final fight. If Adonis Creed is coming out of retirement for the first time, like he should have been there. I'm sorry, if he's fine, he's not dead, he's not getting sicker. He should have been there. If I was Adonis, I would have
anime trope.
I would have paid. I would have paid for, if I was him, I would have paid for a plane ticket to fly him over. I think, he should have been there too. So like it felt like they went out of their way to not have him be a part of that movie. It just didn't feel right,
Okay, so another thing that was great about this movie, you ready for this?
Yep.
I think I was more scared of what was his name? Diamond?
Jonathan Majors. Yeah,
Jonathan Majors.
Let's gush over him again.
Scarier than Kang was supposed to be in Quantumania.
It was a Kane variant in the Rocky universe.
Variant. That guy was a lot more scarier than Kang. He should have played that character as Kang.
I'll argue that for a hot second, just because the one jail cell scene with Kang was just that like slow, maniacal kind of like speaking, which scared the shit out of me. Yes.
Yeah.
That is the only thing. I will agree to you, except for that one scene, because other than that, oh boy, it is still Jonathan Majors here going strong, and my God, he's killing it with everything he does, and I love it.
It's his
another aspect to the story that was intriguing was that Michael B. Jordan's character Adonis wasn't totally innocent. Going back to when they were kids, that he felt this overwhelming guilt that when they were in a dangerous situation and he just bailed on his friend who took the fall for that situation they were in. So he was trying to rebuild that, and he felt like he owed him, not knowing that Dame was just using him all along to get close to him and to get that title shot and brutalize one of Adonis's boxers, and it was all part of a plan. So I thought
we made a small bet in the middle of that theater too, because
you're right.
Again,
you're right.
Spoiler, we saw that one of the fighters, Drago, who made a reappearance back in this movie, loved him in it, by the way, was supposed to fight a previous fighter for the undisputed title, and someone comes in and beats the crap out of Drago with a pipe. We're like, oh no, where'd this come from? And I slip over to the guys and I say, guys, watch. Damien is definitely set this guy up for the fall just so he could insert himself into the fight.
Yep.
Johnny was like, yeah, maybe. And Speedy was like, yo, $5. And I'm like, yo, let's go. And
would you say that part of the movie and the story at all was a bit predictable, or just that part in particular?
You know what? I'm not going to say it was predictable because other things have other movies and other stories have attempted to do something in an attempt to swerve people in thinking, oh, yes, this is going to happen, but wait, no, it's not. So it was actually, if it makes any sense, it was a breath of fresh air to go back to that old kind of recipe of how you do things like that.
I think what really made Damien's character work, Jonathan Major's character work, is that, Spade, you put it best, is that, he was kind of portrayed as like the yin to Adonis's yang. They were almost like a mirror of each other in a way.
Well, I said that at the end of the movie because remember one of them, who was it? Michael B. Jordan was wearing all white, while Majors was wearing all black, and I was like, "Ooh, the yin to the yang."
But even in their personalities and like where they came from and like what Adonis's conflict was versus Damien's conflict, I felt like they were like two sides of the same coin in that way. They were both fighting for like similar yet different purposes at the same time. And that dynamic I felt like was really like a strong point between the two of them. But let's get into Big Grim's favorite part of this movie about what makes this what turns this into a Crunchyroll movie.
So okay, it's funny that you mentioned that because we didn't discuss this right from the beginning. It showed elements of anime thrown in here because in the beginning of the movie, we actually do see Adonis's retirement match happening, and he is just getting pelted with punches from a previous fighter from, I believe, the first Creed movie. He's fighting him just to retain his championship so he can retire on a high note. He's getting pelted, but we also see zooming in to the kidneys of the opponent fighter. And it's just like, oh, an opening. And we finally see him goes back to his corner at the end of the round. What are you doing, man? You're getting beat. And Adonis is just like, nah, checkmate, this round. I'm like, oh, okay. I see what he means.
It was the slow-mo.
It's
the slow-mo shots where they're like, oh.
Yes,
and like he's like,
that's
oh, you
exactly
can get
it. And he just takes the punches until he just turns at the right moment. Bam, bam, 2 kidney shots, 1 across the face, knocked out. I'm like, that's so anime. I can't believe I didn't catch that first. Oh my God, this is amazing. And then we get to the very end, which Johnny pointed out, and I'm like, oh, this movie just became really good to, oh my God, I love it. Just to the
visual effects were just insane.
The last fight. Yeah. In the last fight, it gets to a point the entire
so good
disappears, and it is just the fighters in their own world. This is taken so much. Oh my God! This is actually the point in an anime that you do see that there's one person in the crowd, and that should have been Rocky sitting in the crowd, just say, "Come on, kid. Come on, kid." Yes. Just whatever. But
Adonis, you got this.
Come on, Donnie. Come on.
But, you want to hear something funny about that whole scene? So, I mean, obviously, a lot of Michael B. Jordan fans probably know he's a very big anime fan. Obviously, I mean, he showed up to Black Panther dressed like Vegeta, like it's obvious. So, he was asked about this scene and like his love for anime being put into the visuals, and he was like, I was just going buck wild with like the ideas and stuff. At one point, he even wanted to have like thought voiceovers with subtitles, which would have been like that would have been too much. Yeah, no, but that's what he said. He's like, no, I'm going too far into it. But it just like the thought of it just would have been so funny.
Oh my God.
To back up right before the big fight, a stable of all the Rocky movies and leading into the Creed movies, training montage. That was so well done, beautifully shot. Like I mentioned in the short coming out of the theater. It was updated, for 2022, 23. Doesn't have the 80s flair for the Rocky movies, but I thought that was so epic. You seeing both fighters, how they would train. Of course, they had to put that in, but personally, that was my favorite part of the movie. Maybe a little more than the main event with the anime aspects, but training montage and just beautifully shot all around the whole damn thing. It was so good.
Absolutely beautiful
Also,
movie.
one last thing I need to say: rest in peace, Felicia Rashad, Adonis Creed's mother, his adoptive mother dying. That was a very sad scene. But man, between losing her and losing Angela Bassett and Black Panther 2, we're just losing like all the actress queens this year.
They're still alive in real life,
Heartbreaking.
people. Just for clarity.
Heartbreaking.
Now, while it may break a few hearts, guys, that's all that we really have to say on this one. Like, share, and subscribe. Let us know what you think down in the comments. Hit that notification bell. And for now, roll credits.
Roll credits.